All right, we are now recording. Cool. Thank you. Thanks for the reminder, Dave. But yeah, so this is a chance for the interns to present what they've worked on for the year this year. We'll start off with Jeff Chow, who'll give a quick intro on what's happened on the whole program. In the meantime, I'm sure I probably don't need to display this slide. We're far enough into the pandemic that I think everyone's used Zoom enough. But any questions, please use the Q&A within Zoom to ask. Or you can welcome to use the chat to reach out with anything as well. All right, and I'm going to hand straight over to Jeff to run through the program, the Splunkterns CEO. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks for that title. Thanks, Ash. For those I haven't met, Jeff Chow, I'm a senior SE at Splunk Sydney, and I have the pleasure of working with the Splunkterns, taking them through on their journey this year. And I'll just take a couple of minutes to talk through what our wonderful Splunkterns went through this year and what the program is all about. Thanks, Ash. So, what is a Splunkturn? Well, if you couldn't pick it already, it's a melding of the two words Splunk and intern. So we do have this Splunkturn program in ANZ. So Splunkterns across Sydney, Brisbane, and Melbourne. And they join the team, whether it's the SE team or the software engineering team, and we get them right involved, learning about Splunk, what kinds of problems they can solve out there in the industry. And they also do some intern projects. And they're going to take you through, and they're the ones who are going to be talking to you today about what they've done, some really, really awesome use cases, and use all the resources, the network that they can within Splunk to help them through that. So this year, we had them start on the very auspicious and romantic date of February 14th. And it's been almost half a year now, and through that process, they've gained knowledge. Ash, if you could take us through the next couple of slides. Taking some of that knowledge and applied it to learning some of the coolest things that we can do with Splunk, working with some really cool Splunkers, whether it's here locally in Australia or potentially even globally. And some of them did even take advantage of that. And it's also a really, really awesome start to a career, being, either in their final year or, whether they're in their final year or the second last year of university, and get some hands-on experience with Splunk. So take us to the next slide. So I did mention we had both solutions engineering and software engineering interns. This year we had 10, half each, and today you'll be hearing from 4 of the solutions engineering interns, where the project is largely based around a field use case, something that our customers would find very interesting and potentially useful to try themselves. And so our solutions engineering organization, this is where we pick up a few interns and give them some skills that can be applied to our Splunk customers. Next slide, please. And so in the last few months, they've been customer facing, they've gotten technical hands-on, they've done real problem solving, sometimes with customers, sometimes with internal tooling, and really gives them a kind of really good hands-on dive into Splunk, and also some of the customer environments. On the flip side, that's the next slide, is the software engineering. And probably don't need to explain exactly what a software engineer does, but at Splunk, that's on the next slide, is we have 3 different teams. They would be around customer managed platform, developer platforms, tooling, CI tooling, and the Splunk Cloud TechOps team. And we have interns who are picking up skills and working through each of those teams as well. So the Splunkturn program has been going on for a few years now, and it's constantly adapting. We expect it to change for the better even for next year. And so we would expect to see even more Splunkterns come through for next year's program. that's all I had. Without further ado, I will pass back to Ash, and then you can hear straight from our Splunkterns who came through this year.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Jeff. All right, just a very quick reminder before we move on is that Splunk Live is coming up in both Melbourne and Sydney. So please register. We'd love to see everyone there. It's going to be in person in both locations on the 12th of August in Melbourne and the 23rd of August in Sydney. So QR codes will take you directly to those registration pages. So please jump on. It'll be good to see you there. All right, let's kick off into the presentations. Mr. Gamer, I'll get you to quick kick off next.
Sure. Let me introduce the user group to Brody Tedesco. I've been mentoring Brody for the past 6 months, teaching him the ways of the SE, the lunches, the coffees, the general consumption of food and beverage. And he's been a great student. He's definitely got his handle on the lunches. We're getting his head around the coffees too. But yeah, look, Brody's been a great intern. This is his second time presenting his content in a public forum. So I would say that anything less than a completely perfect presentation from him is an abject failure. So everyone get your hopes up. I think there's going to be an incredible presentation. Over to you, Brody.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for that, Gamer. Nothing but perfection. Cool. So I'll just share my screen quickly. Awesome. Cool. I'm assuming everyone can see the presentation all nice there. Cool. Awesome. So I'll get into it. So my project during my internship was updating InfoSec. Hopefully a lot of you know what InfoSec is. It's one of our free security offerings. So I'll be talking a bit on how I decided to do InfoSec, how the update actually went, and what the future plans are. So start off, how did I get into InfoSec? Well, first week of our internship, we have these really cool boot camps. And basically during a boot camp, we have a lot of former interns come and talk to us about their projects. And the projects that resonated to me most were the ones that provided some sort of company value. For me, being able to contribute is a massive thing, and to have that opportunity was big. So I kind of knew straight away I wanted to do something that provided some value. On top of this, when I came to Splunk, it was quite obvious that security was something Splunk loved to do. And for me, being an engineering student, security isn't the thing that's talked about the most. So it was really cool to kind of deep dive into it at Splunk, and really ignited a passion for me. So I knew straight away that I wanted my project to go down the security route. And a former intern that's in the Brisbane office, John Wang, did some work when Phantom or SOAR came out initially for Splunk during his internship, and really carved out a niche for himself in that. So I kind of wanted to do a similar thing and carve out a niche for myself and kind of get a bit of a specialization in something. So I went to my mentor with this, and he said, well, maybe you should try and go into Dashboard Studio. At the time, it was kind of new and a bit underutilized. So with that, I had a lot of pieces, and I went to my manager, Dean, and he said, well, you should try out InfoSec. It's an awesome application. It's really well used, but it hasn't received a lot of love recently. So he said, go have a look at it. So that's exactly what I did. And when I started having a look at it, I discovered a few things. The first thing I discovered about InfoSec is customers love it, and especially those new and smaller adopters of Splunk. It's an application that's really easy to implement for a new customer. All it takes is some data ingestion, a TA slapped on top of that maps their data to some of the SIM data models, and then all of a sudden you've got populated dashboards ready to go. And that, time to value for a customer is awesome. I love to see that, and that's what InfoSec offers. Beyond this, it's a great intermediary before our premium offerings, which essentially is ES. And whilst it doesn't have things like notables and correlation searches, you still have those continuous monitoring features and some high-level user investigations. So yeah, a great in-between before you get to ES. And beyond this, it's well loved. I know it's only got 11 reviews, but 5 out of 5 stars, awesome, right? People like to complain before they compliment something, so 5 stars. It's great. So yeah, well-loved application and very easy to use. So a bit onto its adoption and value within Splunk and for our customers. So 20,000 current downloads. You'll go on Splunk base and you'd be hard pressed to find another application that isn't a TA that has 20,000 plus downloads. It's massive. So obviously it's really well used. And you can see here, we have a version adoption chart on the screen up until halfway through 2021. And you can see customers love jumping into new versions, which, makes it a bit sad that there hasn't been a new version for a while. Like I said before, it's just a great product. And it's really easily configurable for a customer's environment. And this is because of its use of SIM data models and easily available TAs. So the problem that I saw and Dean kind of mentioned to me is it didn't really have much support. And that's because this lovely gentleman here, but I've actually never had the pleasure of meeting, only heard tales of, Igor Gifford, was the developer and owner of InfoSec. And it was really his baby. He incepted it and he supported it up until he left. And unfortunately, what did happen when he left was we saw that lack of support come in. We haven't had an update from last year halfway through, and when I started reaching out to people, no one was really working on an update either. And beyond this being a little bit sad, it also starts leading to potential to be detrimental to customers, because your experience of an application starts to degrade as it doesn't get supported, as features may become depreciated, or maybe new features are coming out you want to utilize and you can't utilize them because your application is stuck on an old version. So with all of that said, we kind of went, okay, this needs an update. How are we going to update it and what are we going to do? Well, the first thing, like I talked about earlier, new technology. So Dashboard Studio was this new technology that has been used before, but hasn't been used extensively across Splunk. So we wanted to start using that to refresh the look and feel of InfoSec. And by doing this, you actually create simpler implementation for customers. So already a really easy to implement solution becomes even easier. So what Studio would do is you can package visualizations into the application of Studio instead of having to have those visualizations as add-ons. So you no longer need to have these extra downloads from Splunk base to implement it. It's really easy just to do out of the gate. Beyond this, future feature support. So obviously Studio is currently catching up to Dashboard Classic. And at the moment, I think it's getting pretty close. And as it catches up, hopefully what will happen is it will surpass Classic in some features. And by converting InfoSec over to Dashboard Studio, we put it in a well-aligned position to follow with those updates and hopefully get ahead of Classic and have those extra features when they do come out. So yeah, that's a bit about the update itself and a bit on the processes itself. This speaks a bit more to Splunk's internal processes. And it was really me having to find out who owns the products and developing that network of support. And this was really important in the end because InfoSec is a Splunk supported application. So it follows a lot of Splunk design philosophies and rules, and not really having any corporate experience before in an IT field. I had no idea about any of these design rules, and I was lost at multiple times. And these guys were a great help. A bit of a mission to this as well is my mentor gamer. He at multiple times told me what was wrong with my design, and I'd go to Cynthia and she would tell me the same thing. So I probably should have listened to Gamer first, but you live and you learn. Yeah, he's nodding. Look at him nod. Cool. So kind of on to the next thing, my research and validation stage. So it was really important. I didn't want to develop this on my own terms. I wanted to go out to the people who use and utilize this and make sure that the development cycle was aligned with what was wanted in the market at the time. So I did this by reaching out to some of our in-house specialists. So the GSS teams use InfoSec a lot. So I reached out to them to get some feedback. As far as Studio goes, we had a bit of an in-office guru. If any of you use the Azure application across anything, Ryan Late may be a familiar name. He was he does develop that. and he recently underwent a studio conversion. So anything studio based, he was awesome to consult. Our former intern superstar, John Wang, anytime I had a technical issue, this man was there and ready to fix it for me. And beyond that, he helped a lot in validating the use cases I had for some new features. And probably most importantly, or definitely most importantly, was the customers I got to speak with. So as David mentioned before, I had the opportunity to go to a user group, and that was awesome. I got to present there, and obviously getting the product in front of people meant I got a lot of feedback and a lot of ongoing feedback, and that was a really good process, and it did fundamentally form the basis for the design philosophy of the update that you'll see today. So this is the update essentially. So 8.2x, so it's available from 8.2x up. It's all done. It's in the pipeline, so our engineers are testing it right now to push it out to be updated. As you can see here, here are some of the pretty dashboards that I picked out for everybody to look at. Yeah, in my opinion, it looks really good. I hope you guys think it looks really good too. And it was a really nice process to go through, and hopefully it delivers some real value to customers. And kind of to a 9.0 update. So during the update cycle, obviously Studio has a few areas where it's lacking. And when the 9.0 update came out, the Studio team worked really hard to make sure that it was brung up to speed with Classic, and it had all those features Classic had. And I started doing the update, and you can already tell like it's already really good, and then it's going to be 10 times better when it's on 9.0. Unfortunately, it's all of us interns' final day tomorrow, and I haven't got it done just yet. So I've kind of handballed the project over to our Singapore intern, Mitchell Chan, and he is pretty keen on developing that. So hopefully another intern will come through, and you'll see a 9.0 update out soon as well. Yeah, so I've kind of got a few dashboards here for you guys to have a gaze at. But overall, thanks everybody for coming and listening. It's great talking to partners and customers. Yeah, I guess I'll answer a few of the questions now, if there was any questions.
Brody, just first of all, that's so amazing to be working on something like this that's going to impact other customers as well. And InfoSec is very popular. Totally understand, but regards to the support, it's community supported. So we do have some level of support right in-house. But quick question for you. What was the experience like to be collaborating with product management and engineers and demo owners across the globe, right? What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So initially it's very scary to collaborate with anyone, because these are people who own products that are on the other side of the globe, and being an intern, that's very scary. But once you reach out and talk to them, everyone is so happy to help within Splunk. So the process at first, yeah, started off scary, but as you go, it becomes quite eye-opening how forward people are and how happy they are to help. And in the end, it made it really easy to connect with everyone I needed to connect to. And if I couldn't connect to the right people, someone who's completely unrelated to the project would connect you to the right person. So in the end, it was a great process working with people all over the globe to be able to do something. And it was really cool. I didn't think I was going to be able to say by the end of this internship, I got to work with people from America, from the UK, from India, to finish up a project. It was awesome.
Brilliant.
Great stuff, Brody. Yeah, there was no other question at the moment, but just one comment saying that it's a great idea to work on an app that's widely used and bringing it up to speed for the new world. So it's a great concept. Well done, mate.
Cheers, mate.
And one more question from John Wang's just come in. Was it difficult using Dashboard Studio, and what brand of hair wax are you using?
Yeah, Dashboard Studio comes with, I guess, a few of its weird intricacies at times. It's a fairly fresh application for Splunk, so sometimes things don't work as you kind of think they would. But definitely when you start using the 9.0 version, you start noticing that most of it works exactly how you think it would, and it actually becomes really easy to use once you wrap your head around it. And that's just speaking on, so there's two versions when you work on a dashboard. There's absolute and there's grid. If you use grid, it's no problem at all. If you use absolute, where you have to like drag things into pixel perfect positions, that's when it starts getting a bit finicky. But with all that said, it was really good to use, and it gives you a lot of room to be creative, which is really nice, especially if you want to design a custom solution. Obviously, InfoSec's quite general, but if you would ever want to design something a bit more custom, Studio is perfect for that. On hair wax, my bathroom's over there. I'm trying to have a gaze. I think it's like called muscle wax or something. I don't know. It's good stuff though. I'll send you a
That
personal.
makes sense.
Please, Brody, don't bring us into the bathroom. And for everybody here, I mean, it's great news that Dashboard Studio is free and embedded inside the technology tray, inside the platform. So definitely have a look at it. And we've got workshop Wednesdays now as well on advanced dashboarding. So check out the workshops that are coming up free if you want to know more about how Brody did this.
Awesome.
Great stuff, Brody. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ashley.
All right, let's keep moving on. Laura, if you're there, I might get you to jump on.
I am here. Yes, I'm just hiding next to Joss. Cool. So I'd like to introduce you guys to my mentee, Jocelyn. She's right here. So I've been working with Joss for the last 6 months while she's been doing her internship program, and it's been great to see the progress that she's made, especially I think transitioning her studies and what she'd learned in university into those kind of real world concepts. I think Joss has probably had a fairly turbulent journey with this project. There was a few false starts and changes in direction, as is common with most real world projects that I think we go through in client sites. But I think there's been a lot of learnings, and I'm really proud of where she's got to now, and I hope that she is too. I think one of the most exciting things about this project is that it's something we can all relate to. So it's a subject that I think is relatable to all of us, and it's super interesting, and it's great when it's applied to something outside of the tech world, which it is in this space. So with that, I will pass over to Jocelyn, and she'll tell you a little bit more about her project.
Thank you so much, Laura, for that amazing introduction into who I am and my project. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to my presentation, adding real-time visibility into aged care. In the next 15 minutes, I'll first begin with an introduction to myself, why I was drawn to this project, why this problem, really all the why, so you understand why this problem and this project mattered so much to me, but also why it should matter to you as well. We'll then move on from the why and transition into the what. And this will be in the form of a demo. We'll be able to step through a simple scenario which really illustrates the value that data, but also Splunk can provide to the aged care industry. We'll then finish up with the what's next. And this is where we'll discuss next steps for the project. And then we'll conclude and open up the floor for any questions. So keep those ready and feel free to add them into the Q&A below. So here at Splunk, we Splunkers always love to introduce ourselves with 1 million data points. And I wanted to show you mine. Pictured here are 4 figures. There's me in the middle with the yellow little vest. There's my grandparents on either side of me. And then there's some random person in the background. Don't know who that is. So we're not important, not going to look at them. But the other 2 people, my grandparents, they mean so much to me. And I've always wanted to use my skills, particularly my technical skills, in a way that can really improve their lives, as they've always been so supportive of my career within technology. Now, this project does come a little too late to improve the life of my grandfather, but there are so many people that can benefit from improvements and changes within the aged care industry. 1 billion people, in fact. And this is a number that was taken from the United Nations, which just describes how many people are older than 60 years, and really the core demographic of people that would be most affected by changes within the aged care industry. However, seeing the current state of aged care, we definitely have our work cut out for us. Abuse, trauma, neglect. This is so prevalent within the industry. So much so that around about 60% of Australian homes, nursing homes, are actually underfunded. So when you take a look at some of these headlines, you may be angry. I know for a fact that I was angry, But you also need to look at this really critically as well, because when you look more into these headlines and these incidents, you'll find that a lot of these incidents don't just arise from individual malicious actors. It's also a result of systemic issues within the aged care industry that has resulted in chronic understaffing and chronic under-resourcing, as shown on the right-hand side with that figure. So remember that 1 billion figure that I showed you here? That's actually set to double in the next few decades. So if our current systems can't even handle our current population of the aging population, how is it meant to handle around about double that? Well, ideally, we'd have solutions and innovations, maybe even on Splunk. And that's really where my solution comes in. So my solution is a set of dashboards which ingests data via sensors, providing visibility into key health metrics. And the data that powers these dashboards is a combination of the data that is attached to a journal article, as shown on the left-hand side here, but also it is combined with some synthetic data just to give you the best understanding of how this solution may be implemented in the real world. Another feature that would really provide value to the various stakeholders within this space is also an occupant health score. And if this term of a health score sounds very familiar to you, it might be because it's also something that's really used in ITSI. However, instead of calculating perhaps the health of an infrastructure or that kind of system, we're actually calculating the health of an occupant, a person, based on selected metrics. And then finally, we'll also be creating a self-monitoring system to ensure data accuracy, and this will be in the form of a final dashboard. And that's really because we can only trust the data that is being sent into a dashboard if the sensors that are collecting that data is trustworthy. And so if it is outputting faulty data, then we can't really trust any of the other data that it is sending to the other dashboards, can we? So now that I've explained a bit about how it works and how I made it, let's take a look at what it looks like in action. So let's pretend we're an aged care worker and we just started our shift, and we were maybe tipped off by our colleague during the handover of responsibilities that there's a variety of incidents. So we need to triage and reallocate our resources accordingly. And if we scroll down here, we can see that, immediately there is an incident that is considered high. So that will take priority over the other incidents. And if we take a look here, we'll see that the person that this incident is attached to is a man called Bill Williams. So let's take a look at Bill's particular dashboard. And these metrics are specific to him. And immediately we can see that his health score is very, very low. And this health score is a combination and a result of combining all of these quality indicators that are shown on the right-hand side, but also at the bottom here. I also want to note that these quality indicators, most of them are not pulled out of the hat, if any of them. 5 of these, which includes the full incidents, weight, pressure injuries, medication taken, all of these are actually part of a program where any aged care facility that is Commonwealth subsidized, so is subsidized by the government, needs to report on these quality indicators every 3 months. So it's really important for the business and the facility to keep an eye on these metrics. However, I also really wanted to showcase the highly modular nature of these dashboards because we can add or take anything. If it's human readable data, we can probably visualize it here on this dashboard. So, for example, in this particular theoretical facility, not only are they interested in monitoring the mandatory quality indicators, they're also interested in making sure that their residents are well rested, but also active throughout the day. So, bringing it back to the situation at hand, while we're investigating why his health score is so low, we can see that these quality indicators all look about right. He does sleep quite a bit, but everyone sleeps differently. And according to his gauge here, it's normal for Bill. So we can move on from there. If we take a look at the bottom few metrics, we can see that his activity, he is quite active, but it's only relegated to really 3 rooms, the bedroom, kitchen, and living room. There isn't really any activity in the bathroom, and that should raise a few red flags, right? Because if he really hasn't gone to the restroom in this period of time, this might mean that there is a health concern and we may need to intervene with health professionals. However, as we are within the aged care industry and there's not a lot of resources, we need to make sure that if we do deploy our resources, we use them in a way that is the most efficient and effective. So another thing that could have happened is perhaps the sensors are faulty, right? And since we want to be as efficient and as effective as possible, let's try and make sure that's not what's going on. So if we take a look at the final dashboard, it will show us all the sensors that are live and all the sensors that are offline and their general statuses. And immediately we can see that, yeah, there is an offline sensor, and it's the motion sensor in the bathroom. And I hope that through this really simple scenario, I've been able to showcase the value that these dashboards can provide not only the individual by improving their health outcomes, but also to the business as well by allocating their limited resources in the most efficient and effective way, and really allowing the people that are using these dashboards to make the best decisions for the business and also the occupant. So bringing it back to my presentation, I also wanted to finish this presentation up with talking about the additional features I wanted to implement. And I also really want to stress that this is a non-exhaustive list. Every time I talk about my presentation and my project to people, they always chime in with such great additional features that I should look into. So I'm just picking the top 3. Number 1, I would like to talk to more people in the industry, because what makes sense to me, what visualizations make sense to me, may not make sense to someone else. But what makes sense to someone else may not make sense to someone that's actually working within aged care. So combining the voices of people who will actually be using this is so incredibly important and will provide just a much richer product. And then I'd also like to integrate with wearable technologies such as Fitbits, Garmin watches, or Apple watches, because you can gain some really, really interesting insights into your health with your heart rate or even fall detection, which I know is present for some of these technologies, and I think can really provide a richer and deeper understanding of the dashboard as well. And finally, I would also like to integrate and implement Splunk Mobile as well, because a lot of people and a lot of workers within the industry are not just sitting in front of a desk all day. Oftentimes they're on the move. So having visibility across the facility and the services and the various occupants via your handheld device can be so incredibly helpful. And these are just a few of the project extensions. If you have any more, feel free to drop them in the Q&A below as well, because I'd be really interested to see what your thoughts are. And now that concludes my presentation. I hope you really, really enjoyed that. And yeah, I'm opening up the floor for any questions. Thank you very much.
Well done, Joss. Great work. There is one quick question. Is the idea to use sensors to gather this data?
Yes, it is.
Okay, cool. I kind of like the idea of being able to track your grandparents about what with around the house. Would be quite fun to do, especially from your mobile phone.
That is one of the aspects that I also think is really, really important as well, particularly in the age where there's a lot of social isolation, not just among us, but particularly within the elderly as well. So if we were able to integrate family more into this product, I think that would take it to the next level, really.
Yeah, Gareth just provided a bit of feedback. I'd add a ring data or similar to the list of wearable devices.
For sure.
And what about
go, sorry.
So alerting and automation, right? So if something happens, like, that we could alert those that are watching and have an automated response to check on that person.
Sorry, what was that?
Sorry, alerting.
Alerting and automation. Any thoughts on something like that?
Oh, for sure, right? Alerts could be so incredibly helpful, as again, a lot of aged care workers are always on their feet and running around, so they might not be able to always turn on their, take a look at their computer screen or their phone screen. So having those alerts and being able to showcase like exactly what the highest priority is could be really, really helpful.
Such an amazing use case, Jocelyn. Well done. That's really great.
No worries. How would I handle privacy concerns? That's really, really interesting as well. And another aspect that I was talking a lot with my mentor, because the thing is, having such intimate insights into a person's interactions within their homes, within other people, even their health insights, it can provide so much value, but I can also see why others can be a bit concerned with allowing other people to have such intimate, I guess, such an intimate look into what they do, particularly within, I guess, a demographic which may not be as technologically savvy as some other demographics as well. So privacy concerns are an area that we will be looking into heavily, and making sure that if we do get someone involved, that they have their full consent and they understand it's exactly what's data is going to be harvested or taken, and what data is going to be visualized on these dashboards. My grandpa doesn't trust his automated aircon. Yeah, I feel that. So that's going to be something interesting, I guess, to how we communicate the value of Splunk. But that's something that we've been really successful in doing in so many other use cases. So I'm sure we can work something out.
Cool. Awesome stuff, Joss. We might keep moving, just get everyone else on board. There are a couple of other questions you're welcome to type in on the Q&A as we continue on. So we'll keep moving.
No worries.
Tim, I might get you up next to introduce our next one.
Hey, sorry, we're all in the same room, but I'm unmuting myself. Hopefully everyone can still hear me, can see me. Hi, I'm Tim. I'm a solutions engineer out of Melbourne. I've been looking after Wilson. So Wilson and Joss are both here in Melbourne. So Wilson's been with us for 6 months. I had a pleasure to be his mentor. I mean, he joined obviously when we're still all predominantly working from home. So it was an extra excuse for me to come into the office and, you know, polish, work on my table tennis game. But, you know, I think in terms of the real things, to see how much you can get done in half a year. Just seeing Wilson sort of take on all the certifications, all the training, all the sort of onboarding things. I mean, just the number of workshops he's been to. I mean, I think he's certified higher than I am by this point, but you know, that's beside the point. Super impressed with this project. I won't do any spoilers. You know, at one point I thought he bit off more than he could chew, but it was good to see it come through. So off to you, Wilson. Good luck. And I know you've got your wisdom teeth taken out. So just try not to move your mouth too much when you talk.
We won't make you laugh, mate.
Hey guys, sorry. As Tim has mentioned, I did get my wisdom days ago, so I'm still eating soft foods and try not to dribble myself as I talk. But I'm sure I'll be able to present fine. Let me just share my screen for you guys. Sorry. Awesome. So hi everyone, my name is Wilson, and today I'll be presenting a bit about my Smart Cities project. So just as a bit of a background, I'm currently an electrical engineering and IT student at Monash, based out in Melbourne. And for the last 6 months, it's been an amazing ride being here at Splunk, having the opportunity to have a wealth of experiences, being exposed to customers, having built like strong foundation with my technical knowledge, doing my architect certifications, and having the opportunity to just play around with Splunk in an interesting use case, such as this Smart Cities project. So without further ado, let me dive into my project. The project that I've been working on has been around the concept of smart cities and utilizing Splunk to help cities operate more effectively while improving services to citizens and businesses. This project provides a great balance between what Splunk is great at doing and utilizing live data, but also demonstrating an interesting use case that can not only be used by the city council, but adapted for any environment where foot traffic can be tracked, such as universities, malls, or amusement parks. So what is a smart city? Smart cities leverage information and communication technologies to enhance service levels, citizens' well-being, and economic development. It has allowed cities to be more effective and efficient which is necessary given the projected rapid growth in urban populations over the next few decades. Currently, 2 out of 3 of the world's largest cities are already having implemented some sort of smart city technology. So this is an area where Splunk can come in and help. Some of the benefits smart cities are able to achieve is more effective, data-driven decision-making, enhanced citizen and government engagement, and safer communities. So my project will be focusing mostly on the first 2 benefits, where we can look at some of the dashboards that I've created. So Splunk can really help in this scenario when we're looking at smart cities, because it's uniquely positioned to address data-related problems. To be able to address the benefits of smart city technologies, a large variety of data is needed to be collected and analyzed to gain insight. Splunk provides that critical link between raw machine data and making those data-driven decisions in real time, making actions in real time. So my Smart Cities app demonstrates Splunk's ability by providing visuals and insights from logs and metrics. The dashboards help city council and planners make data-driven decisions in terms of pedestrian foot traffic, parking, amenities, and businesses. This allows for key data-driven decisions, such as improving emergency service response by keeping track of pedestrian traffic, focused amenity improvements through understanding current distribution and demands of that traffic, parking optimization via analyzing occupancy, and providing a personalized experience for people visiting the city using the insights gained from the combined data sets. So next, I'll dive into my dashboards. So this first dashboard provides a glass table executive view of the data that's being collected and summarized, which is easy to see at a glance, where we can get information on the current foot traffic in the city in the current day, how much revenue is being generated in the city today, how many businesses are operating, such as restaurants, bars, and pubs, and what amenities we're providing. These visualizations can be drilled down to gain further insight. And the first one that we'll be looking into is the live pedestrian foot traffic. So this dashboard provides an idea of the busyness around the city. It shows the changes in the foot traffic, and I'm using these sensors that are located around the Melbourne CBD to track where people are going to, what percentage of distribution they are at each sensor, and that's all visualized on this dashboard, where we can get a pie distribution as well as a bar chart and a map that can visualize those sensors. Next up, the amenities view displays a count of each amenity and its location. By overlapping this view with the previous foot traffic, we can see which areas need installation of more services. And additionally, the conditions of each is regularly updated into our database, meaning a list of bicycle rails with a condition rating of less than 1 out of 5 can be retrieved and sent to maintenance to do repairs and replacements. Next up is the business dashboard, providing users with the understanding of food and drink places which operate throughout the city. We get a distribution via a pie chart and also visually through the map. So you can see the restaurant icons, the bars, the cafes. And in my case, I'll be using this data to customize a journey for anyone that wants to visit the city and get a recommendation based on their preference. But this data has the potential to be used for marketing or value property location valuation. Next up, we have the Melbourne Smart City Parking. So this is a very important amenity and service that the council will provide, as it generates a great amount of revenue. And it's also a benefit to citizens to have close and available parking. And therefore, we're tracking metrics such as occupancy time, occupancy rate, and as well as how much that the current generation is. We can see a time chart of what the occupancy looks like throughout the day, and also visually a live data of where there is currently a lot of parking and where there's a lot of blank unoccupied spaces. So with this, we can get an idea of where we need to improve services such as parking, where in future city planning, where we need to build more parking spots, or where we can utilize that space for businesses or opening up parks or whatnot. This brings us to our most granular dashboard, which is a location drill down, allowing for users to focus on a specific area. It brings data from the previous dashboards together and provides insight by combining those data. What we can see is what the foot traffic is like at that specific location. So for Melbourne Central, And then using that, we get a distribution percentage of 4%, sorry. And with that, we can compare what the current businesses that are nearby, amenities that are provided nearby are like, and if we need to improve those services or not. This final dashboard uses the previous data to provide a customized recommendation for citizens based on their preference, helping them discover new places and promote travel and dining out. A selection of busyness as well as location and arrival time can be chosen, and Splunk will use the data that is already available to provide 4 different options for you to visit. This dashboard just demonstrates one of the many use cases which combines the previous insights to provide a unique solution. Finally, I'll just cover a bit about my project learning. So this project has been really an amazing opportunity for me to solidify and practice a lot of my technical skills. But I've also learned to be able to develop the importance of understanding customers' perspective and pain points, really putting myself in the perspective of a council and figuring out what are some of the issues that they might face and some of the problems that they would like to solve with Splunk. There was a large variety of data ingest methods that I had to use to collect all the different kinds of data. So for me, I was using API Python scripts to call HTTP event collectors and using universal forwarders to forward that data into Splunk. So that was a great understanding of more of that admin data, architect kind of skills that I've been learning. With my parking data, with live data, I've learned that it can be very inconsistent and I had issues with my parking data. So I had to generate a Python script which had simulated the parking throughout the day, depending on different times of the day and the probability that someone will stay for whatever duration of time. And yeah, using this app, I've been able to develop this project. I've been able to use some of the really cool apps such as Maps Plus, which provides me with those interactive and engaging maps, which can show a lot of detail. So that marks the end of my presentation. Thank you all for your time, but most importantly, thanks everyone at Splunk that's been able to provide this amazing opportunity for me and the other interns. This really was an opportunity for me to discover a technology that I really enjoy and an industry that I want to continue to work in and develop those skills that will carry on with me. Feel free to take this opportunity to ask me any questions about my experience, the project, or anything behind the scenes. Thanks, guys.
Great stuff, Wilson. Unfortunately, we couldn't understand a word you said because your teeth. So
sorry about that. Did I dribble into my desk?
No, you did a sensational job, mate. Any questions? Feel free to jump into the chat. I'll just give you half a second for that.
While waiting for any of those questions, Wilson, what did you know about city planning before this?
Not a thing at all. I had a mate who I'm studying with that works at the city council out in Whoop Whoop. And I was asking him a few questions about, like, what would you find useful for city planning? And he was like, oh, all we take care of is like complaints about bins on, and like footpath traffic. I'm like, okay. So I don't have much to work off with, but no, it's been a great experience. I got a lot of actually valuable insight from the data. You could see that, different areas of the city had different focuses. If it was like on a Sunday, out here on Collins Street where there's a lot of offices, you don't get as many people. Whereas on Burke Street Mall, that's where the traffic is. And, through that, you can kind of get insight on where we should focus different areas of the city to prioritize different districts, right? So that was, really great experience. And I hope to continue to work on something similar.
Wow, learning from the data, right? That's really cool. And those visualizations, you've done a great job in pulling those in. How hard did you find coming up to speed to be able to use Splunk in order to be able to put up some of that visualization?
Yeah, it was tricky at the start where, obviously SPL wasn't something that I've used before, but I think once you get the hang of it and you really put in the time and effort, and also with the help of my mentor, Tim, who's really great, I was able to really wrap my head around it. But it's a great experience working with, being able to visualize it in the Maps Apps Plus app. It's great.
Amazing achievements in just 6 months. Wow, that's brilliant.
Yeah, great stuff, mate. Really well done. All right, let's keep moving on. Up next we have Oscar. So Oscar's the really unlucky one that got me as a mentor. So I will be introducing him. So like most of the interns, I think Oscar took a little bit of time to figure out exactly what he was going to do on his project. So I was kind of pushing him to do just something he's passionate on, something he really is interested in. And so ended up using a passion for his own stomach as his project. So it's going to be interesting to see this presentation. Oscar's been a real character to work with throughout the year. It's been great fun working with you, mate. So it'd be a good fitting finish for this right now. He was also very keen to go last because he was hoping there wouldn't get many questions at the end of it. So I'm imploring people to ask lots of questions at the end of this, please. All right.
I'm thankful a lot of people left already. It was part of the strategy.
Over to you, mate.
Okay, cool. Yeah, hi guys. So my name is Oscar. A bit about me is I'm a very passionate guy about coffee. I love coffee, and like most people in the office, I can't start my day without a good cup of coffee. I'm pretty sure Dave and Ash can testify that I'm a very grumpy guy in the morning. A bit about me is I have this weird fanatic retirement dream about myself that once I become a successful tech I will own multiple cafe and be a successful businessman. And that's just a little bit about me. And for me, I would study data science and business analytics at UC. And I was just looking at how Splunk can incorporate those data and what I interest into creating something that I can use. So why did I choose a cafe? So from a day-to-day operation, the cafe provides a broad range of data source to work with, whether it's from IoT or payment or even inventory, but most importantly, understanding the customer. So this is why Splunk is so good, as you can ingest any data or source of data to create insights into day-to-day cafe operation to make smart financial decisions. So I'm going to show you how I did it with a demo, and I show you how it's done. Cool. So first of all, I have my sales operation dashboard over here. And over here, you can see there's a lot of KPI in there. It's more importantly to understand how the business is operating. So with Splunk, I can look at different stores, and this is vital because I'm a very successful businessman. I got to emphasize on that point that I have multiple stores. In this case, I have 3 stores: Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Let's say if I just want to look at the Sydney store, and with here, I can work with different data and look at different date range. So maybe I'll just want to look at the first week of April. Oops. Sorry, that's not the first week. So here, I've looked at the first week of April data set. As you can see, my business is performing okay. I wasn't able to hit the target of $18,000, but I was able to nearly meet my target. Here, I have a breakdown of the sales and the expense. This is to understand how my business is performing in contrast to how my drinks is performing. As you can see over here, the coffee is performing exceptionally with all the top 5 drinks being coffee. And also on the worst 5 drinks, you can see majority are tea. This is allow us to promote a new product, maybe like a pumpkin spice latte, and we can see how it performed within the top 5 and the worst 5 drinks. We can also see here we have the daily revenue. This is just understand how business is performing as well as the sales versus target. So over here, we can see that the growth is outperforming the target, whereas the food is underperforming. This call for an investigation. Maybe we could ask the customers on why our food is underperforming, and maybe we can use some promotion to entice customer to buy our food. This will allow us to meet our target. So you can see here, we have the transaction timeline and average transaction per hour. We can see that it's really busy on the weekday, but not busy on the weekend. This might be crucial for us to understand how we can put our staffing hours. So we can have 3 staff in the weekdays and 2 staff in the weekend. This allows us to maximize reduce our expense. So this is a very cafe owner and manager perspective. Whereas what about if another team member want to use differently? So here we have a customer perspective. This is more for the marketing team and understand why understand the royalty program that we have. So here our target is 7 to meet 10 new target every each week. As you can see, we can only get 7. And we also only have 60% with loyalty program. Obviously want to improve this. The reason is we can see that it's a very successful business. And as you can see, on average, there is 3 transactions per week for each follower. We can also see there's an IG follower. This is also crucial for us to understand how our social media promote our brand, as well understand the reviews and the complaints. This allows us to understand how the business is well and understand why we're not performing so well as well. So this is a breakdown of just on the online and the in-store sales we have, and just crucial for us to understand why we are performing so well. So as you can see here, that in the online delivery platform, the DoorDash DoorDash is performing really well, whereas the Uber is not performing that well. It's only performing 4% of the transaction. What we can do is we can look at promo code to improve entice Uber Eats platform to use our to buy our product. So here we just have some basic customer demographic and just understanding how our taste preference. This could be useful for marketing campaign, as well as the age breakdown can understand the taste of the coffee. So in a survey, it was conducted that the older generation have a stronger taste for coffee. And this is essential for us because our coffee is targeted toward the baby boomers and the Gen X. That means we should have a stronger taste in the coffee to entice the people there. Cool. And now this is back to the how making the smart decision using Splunk. So as I mentioned before, we can see that the food is not performing that well. And through there, we're trying to increase our target and try and promote our product. So in the typical business day, we have 18 scones at the start of the day, which is sold for the $3.75. So one of the promo campaign that we have at the moment is if you're you have a loyalty program with us, we will sell the product at $2 for the scones. So as you can see, this week, at the promo week, we sold it for 21 weeks. And in a normal typical week, because of the high, not meeting the target, you can see there's a 70 wastage on, which lead to $263 loss in revenue. So if you look at the breakdown on the sales, we can see that over here, there's a lot reducing the wastage in the thing. So you can see through the graph, the line chart, and how we can break down the produced wastage while increasing the business revenue. So over here, we start off with the sales breakdown from a store owner and manager perspective, and bring all this into a single dashboard to understand how the business is performing via KPI. And then we also start with, then we have how the marketing team use our loyalty program to understand customer demographic and user behavior. And finally, we can use those to show how Splunk can use different platforms to create a custom dashboard to show how we can make smart financial decisions. So what do I want to do with this next dashboard? So with this next dashboard, I'm going to build more dashboard with it. So like looking at more metrics. So they could be looking at IT health metric, so looking at security, application, and even infrastructure. So we're constantly looking at staff metrics. So talking about staffing hours. So when I'm looking about transaction timeline, we have maybe looking which is maximized, and also looking at the performance and KPI. So some of the stuff that I want to implement as well is machine learning. So this could be used to predict inventory spaces. So instead of having 18 scones at the start of each day, we can maybe have 10 scones on the weekday and 6 on the weekend to maximize reduce the wastage. And this also can be done with staffing hours to maximizing the performance and reducing expense. So I can also look to expand this use case in different ways, such as expanding to retail space, where we can use it to promote the Splunk t-shirt product, or like selling McLaren stuff merchandise. Cool. So this is about my internship experience, and for me, it's just understanding what Splunk does. So for me, Splunk is about like every day-to-day platform, and we understand what does that mean. I mean, dollar to everything platform, and understand what does that mean. And obviously, I have the ongoing support from the various mentorship from either my mentor Ash and manager and Jeff, and also a lot of the colleagues in the Sydney team and Melbourne team. Also, it helped for me. It was a lot of decision for my career growth, as I understand what I want to do next, and hopefully I was able to encourage other Splunkterns to join this other prospect student that is watching here, and to join the next Splunkterns program. Cool, and that's it for me. Feel free to add me on my LinkedIn, ask me any questions right now.
Awesome stuff, Oscar. Well done, mate. All right, we do have one question coming into the Q&A. How much manual effort is needed to reflect on the dashboard when you start a new drink, and how do you minimize that manual effort?
Sorry, what's the question?
If you have a look at the Q&A, can you see the Q&A?
Oh yeah, cool.
Yep.
I guess it's a bit of both. Yeah, obviously you have to update it in the system. And obviously there's manual effort would be having, I guess, reduce product code for future reference be like a seasonal drink instead of the actual product. So this will probably reduce so you can reduce this code every time you just have a seasonal drink. I guess for me, it'll probably be updating a lot of the data. And I guess with Splunk is a good thing because we also have like the lookup features where you can use the add data to the lookup table and where you can just use it to look for more information, like to look up the drinks.
All right, next one is, any idea how many cups of coffee you need to sell to afford Splunk? Come on.
Well, apparently it's free for less than 500 megabytes. Is it less 500 megabytes? Something like that.
Yep, very good, very good,
Yeah.
very good. Yes.
But because I'm a very successful businessman, cost doesn't matter. Like I'm so successful, I'm rich as hell.
And Oscar, can you confirm, did you say pumpkin spiced latte? Is that the next trend?
Oh mate, no, we are so according to the research I study about coffee preference. Apparently, because my cafe is target the older generation, apparently they don't like the new innovative drinks. Apparently, like the new generation, like the younger generation, like millennium generation, really care about like different flavoring and stuff. So because my coffee is targeted towards older audience, so I don't think my pumpkin spice latte is coming up anytime, unfortunately.
Awesome stuff, mate. Not as many questions as I'd hoped. I thought you'd get flooded, but oh well, next time.
Lucky last.
Thank you very much, everyone. That's such a cool session for everyone. I love seeing all the dashboard studio dashboards. The amount of it's so cool that everyone's moved off the old classic dashboards onto dashboard studio, and they're all coming out and looking great. Not sure about the color palette on yours, Oscar. We need to work on that. But yeah, so it was a really good session. Thank you very much for everyone hosting. Just a reminder, everyone, Splunk Live is coming up in Sydney and Melbourne. I said at the start, but please would love to see you there. 23rd of August in Sydney and the 12th of August in Melbourne. So hopefully you can get on there. And yeah, I think that's about it. Any other questions from anyone before we finish up? No, all good. All right, let's close it off. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great afternoon. You can all go grab a drink now. I'm sure half of you already got one. Cheers all.
Congrats, everybody. Well done, Ash. Bye, everyone.
See ya.